Thanks so much for joining me for this session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind. We are 2 weeks into the omer. For some reason, this is one Jewish ritual that I have maintained for quite a number of years, while I've actually been pretty loose or inconsistent with some of the others, like attending services or studying, but I always count omer. For those unfamiliar with this, the Jewish festivals all have a date specified in our Torah. It's the 1st or 14th or 15th, whatever day of whatever month. There is one exception to this, and that is the holiday of Shavuot, which can actually come out on any one of 3 different calendar dates. Its observance is determined not directly by the calendar, but indirectly from a daily count starting at the end of the second Seder, that is day 1. Jewish dates always begin at sundown. And the 50th day of the count is the holiday of Shavuot. So the Torah requires us to count for 7 weeks. We count upwards rather than a countdown like you would see in a sporting event or a space launch, eventually reaching 50. There are some specifications to the count. It has to take place at night. And if you forget, you can count during the day without reciting the blessing, and then just pick up where you left off after dark that night. However, if you go from one night to the next without counting, when you pick up for the rest of the series, it is without the blessing that precedes it. So those are the rules. Now, what makes it attractive is a little hard to say. It is individual. I set my clock. I have a smartwatch or some other means of buzzing or sounding that tells me when it is time to count, a reminder. Most years, I never lose an entire day. Sometimes I will neglect the count during the dark and catch up in the daylight. But there is a following to this, that I'm not the only one who is a little casual with public ritual, but does better with private ritual. And this is one of the very private ones, though it is also said in synagogues after the night service. There's a certain accomplishment to it. There's a certain irreverence at times with devices such as the omer, which has a daily cartoon of Homer Simpson as the reminder. The count is supposed to elevate the spirit, but I'm not sure it really does that for me. I think what it does is gives me discipline. It gives me a duty to do something at a certain time over a certain interval and I come through. That's probably what the inner accomplishment is. Eventually, the holiday of Shavuot will arrive. Shavuot does not have a lot of symbolism to it. It's the day in which the Torah was received at Mount Sinai. Unlike Pesach, where you have matzah, or Sukkot, where you live in a sukkah, or Rosh Hashanah when you blow the shofar, or Yom Kippur when you fast. Shavuot does not really have that type of ritual. Yes, there are specified additions to the service, a poem called Akdamut, and the book of Ruth is read, but you don't have the visual, tangible um, symbols like you do with the other festival. There is a tradition to eat dairy, and a number of explanations as to why that has become the tradition. And I make dairy. But in some ways, the festival itself is anticlimactic. Counting the omer, the journey of getting there, is more captivating. And I think that's true of many things that we do. We go on vacation, and if you're flying there, yes, your destination is where you're going to be. But if you're driving there and it's a long drive, then the route that you choose, the things that you see along the way, your rest stops, those are your journeys, that becomes your destination. I could say the same about a career. To become a doctor, I had to go through a lot of steps, and the steps had value in and of themselves. That's really what the Omer is about. It's the steps to the destination and deriving benefit from the steps and commitment to doing the steps. Thanks so much for sharing this session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind.